yesterday I went thrifting and my usual thrift store that I go to was having a $1 media sale, which meant every single like CD, book, DVD, whatever they had was on sale for $1 each. And for some reason, that was the most well-stocked my thrift store has ever been. And I walked out with 10 books. So I spent $10 on 10 books that I'm really, really excited about. 2 of which are like great finds, and I will explain why. And then I went to another thrift store that I usually go to, and there were 2 really good books there too. So in total, 12 books, which is okay because I've read 4 of them. I've read 4 of them already, and one of them is more of a nonfiction, I'll read it one day situation. So 7 new books to the TBR, but for less than $20. I know. So I figured because I had such crazy luck, I had to film this video to document the fact that this is the craziest book haul I have ever had at my thrift store, and I will probably be riding the high of this for quite some time. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. The crazy thing is too, most of these are in great condition. Like literally looks like they've never been touched, which is so rare for a book that's $1. So I'm gonna start with books that I've read before that I did get new copies of, and I will explain why. So first of all, I got Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng, which is a general fiction book that I actually read last month. I didn't read it in like a reading vlog or anything, so there's no documentation of it, but I will be talking about it in my wrap up sometime this week. But this copy that I own, I know they are basically identical, but this copy that I own, I found in a little free library, and it's definitely a little bit worse for wear. The cover is torn, it's pretty beat up, I don't know if you can really tell, but in the little free library video that I got this in, I literally said if I read it and like it, then I can buy an edition that's in better shape and just return this one to the little free library ecosystem. This one is genuinely perfect. It's perfect, it's never been touched, the spine is great, it's just in great condition. That was very exciting, especially because of like the timing of it, the fact that I just read this and I actually did enjoy it. I was like, wait, this is perfect. So if you're unfamiliar, Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng is a, like I said, general fiction family drama about a Chinese American family living in 1970 small town Ohio, and the oldest daughter is found dead. And the book basically follows the family in the wake of that. And then also we do flash around to different times in the family's past to kind of learn about each individual within it. And yeah, it says, Everything I Never Told You is a gripping page turner and a sensitive family portrait uncovering the ways in which mothers and daughters, fathers and sons, and husbands and wives struggle all their lives to understand each other. So very excited to have a pristine copy to add to the shelves now that it's read. Next up, I found a perfect hardcover copy of the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I literally almost ordered this exact edition on Thrift Books like 2 months ago because I lent my copy of Seven Husbands to one of my besties, I think in college, and then I just haven't had a copy since then. So I found this edition in a little free library, which I've just never been a huge fan of this version of the cover, and also, I don't know if you can tell, but the spine is pretty cracked and the cover is folded in the corner on the front, so it's just not like in great condition, and I do really like this book. And I want to have good editions of all of Taylor Jenkins Reid's books because I love them. So this one is gorgeous. Also, I said recently I want more green on my bookshelf, and this green spine, stunning, love her. Very, very excited about this. Crazy that I was about to order it, and I found it instead for $1. So I will be returning this along with Everything I Never Told You to the little free library ecosystem, and I thank them for their service on my shelves in the time in between, but it's time for somebody else to love them. So very exciting stuff. Okay, book number 3 is a crazy find. Only for me personally. I don't think literally anybody else is gonna care about this, but I have almost ordered this book, this exact edition, multiple times from Thrift Books because behind me on my shelf on the bottom there, you might be able to see, or you might not, a stack of hardcover best jacketless books. That would be my Heroes of Olympus book collection, and for some reason the only book that I don't have in hardcover is Mark of Athena, and I've been meaning to order it to complete the collection and the stack. I literally have it in paperback for some reason, not hardcover. Are you joking? Are you kidding? Literally this to complete the stack. I'm just like, how is it that the thrift store had only one Heroes of Olympus book and it was the one that I've almost ordered multiple times in the last couple months? I literally, in my bookshelves video, I'm pretty sure I said something about only having the paperback. So the thrift gods were really, really with me yesterday, y'all. I don't know what was in the air, but something was. Something was in the air because this is crazy. Basically, if you're unfamiliar, Heroes of Olympus is the spin-off series from the Percy Jackson series. It follows them when they're a little bit older, introduces Roman gods and Roman demigods as well. I personally love it in some ways more than the original series just because I love the structure of this spin-off series and I love the new characters that we get to know. So anyways, I'm due for a reread at some point of this too. So very glad that I have the complete set in the correct form. Yeah. And then the last book that I got that I've already read before is nothing crazy special or anything. This is another one that I lent to one of my besties, and I'm pretty sure she still has it, or maybe she got rid of it, I don't know. Who's to say? But regardless, red, white, and royal blue. I just have like a little soft spot for this because this was one of the books that I read in the time when I wasn't reading a ton of new books. I was mostly just rereading, and I remember just having a great time, and this is one that I feel like I'm just excited to have a copy of in order to like lend out to friends because it is really cute and fun in a silly, goofy rom-com-y way. If you're unfamiliar, this is a queer rom-com that follows the son of the President of the United States and a prince. It's a lot of fun. Okay, so now we have the books that I have yet to read that I am adding to the TBR. There's 7 of them. This nonfiction book makes it 8, but just really briefly, I'm just gonna show it to you because I actually think it's really cool. It's a nonfiction book. I don't know if I'm gonna read it like right this second, but I'm actually in the process of writing and producing a thriller comedy short film with my roommate. Planning on shooting it this winter, and I'm really excited about it, and I want it to be the best it can possibly be. So I stumbled upon this book at the thrift store yesterday, again in the $1 sale, called It Came from the Closet: Queer Reflections on Horror, and it is a queer thriller comedy that we're writing, and so this just seemed perfectly poignant to pick up in the near future. This book is basically 25 contemporary queer and trans writers reflecting on the horror films that shaped them and shook them, from Hitchcock to Halloween to Hereditary. So also this cover, incredible, really, really cool. So it just felt poignant because if we are going to be making a queer horror film and potentially one day a feature version of that, this would be good information to have. So I don't count her as an addition to the TBR because okay, so new TBR book number 1, How to End a Love Story by Yulin Kuang. Perfect condition, beautiful, gorgeous. Very, very, very excited about this. If you've never heard of this book before, Yulin Kuang is the writer that wrote the screenplay for the Beach Read adaptation by Emily Henry, and I am so, so, so excited for that. When I found out that she'd written a book, I was so curious because I feel like it's so fun to have the opportunity to learn a writer's like tone and style from a different project before seeing them take on something on like a different and larger scale. So I'm very curious about this. Also, I will say, I have heard mixed things about it, but I have specifically heard glowing reviews from Tia. She raved about this the month that she read it, and it just made me very, very interested in picking it up. So yeah, obviously, if you can't tell, this is a romance novel, but it has a very, very interesting setup. The first line of the summary says, Adalyn Jung hasn't seen Grant Shepard once in the 13 years since the tragic accident that bound their lives forever. I'm a best-selling author, love books about authors and writers and readers and whatnot. She's even scored a coveted spot in the writer's room of the TV adaptation of her young adult novels, blah, 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 blah. Grant takes a job on Helen's TV show. Basically, they have to work together, and then that results in them sort of resolving their issues surrounding the event that ties them together from their past, which is a crazy event, by the way. It doesn't say it on the back cover, so I won't say it, but I know what it is because I heard it in multiple people's reviews. I'm so curious to see what the resolution is to this because it's a very, very interesting setup. Very excited and curious about this. I feel like I'll be getting to this more in the springtime, maybe summer, because it just has like a very springy, summery cover, but how was I gonna turn it down for $1? Okay, the next one I actually only picked up because I have heard mixed reviews on this one as well, but I do know a couple people that really enjoyed it, and I specifically bought it because I can't remember who it was, but I was just watching a video the other day, and whoever it was that was talking about it said that it has gothic vibes and is a very, very good fall read. I'm eating up the fall reading, all the cozy vibes. Anything that has curated vibes that I'm looking for, I am interested in picking it up. So I found Belladonna by Adalyn Grace, which is, to my understanding, a young adult gothic fantasy novel. It's set at a gloomy estate, and I think that the plot kicks off when someone's mother's restless spirit appears claiming she was poisoned. Our main character enlists the help of a surly stable boy to hunt down the killer, giving romance subplot. Oh yes, this is the thing that I heard people say that I was like, this is so intriguing. One of the lines in the summary says, Signa's best chance of uncovering the murderer is an alliance with Death himself, a fascinating, dangerous shadow who has never been far from her side. Though he's made her life a living hell, Death shows Signa that their growing connection may be more powerful and more irresistible than she ever dared imagine. Okay, that's giving romance subplot. So I'm very curious to see if I like it, if I like the writing style. Again, I've heard mixed things, but the summary is intriguing enough that I decided to pick it up, and I'm very excited to get to it. Hopefully this fall, even though my fall TBR is incredibly ambitious and it's kind of intimidating me at this point. This next book I bought specifically because my roommate has expressed interest in reading it, and we actually almost picked it for our book club book for this month, but we ended up going with something else instead. But when we were talking about it at book club, my roommate said she was really interested in reading it because it sounded fun, silly, goofy. And I actually know a lot of people that really like this series. I know the 3rd book in the Interconnected Standalone series just came out, so I am interested in potentially picking it up. I'm just not sure that I'm gonna be like crazy about it. So in theory, I bought this for my roommate because she said she really wants to read it. That's gonna go ahead and be Icebreaker. by Hannah Grace. This is a hockey ice skater romance that's supposed to be incredibly spicy. I'm pretty sure it's college. Yeah, a college romance, which I've never read one of those, college sports romance. And I know that's a lot of people's like thing with a capital T, so who knows, maybe I'll really enjoy it and it will become one of my things as well. But I've heard that it's just silly, goofy, spicy, steamy, fly through kind of vibes, so I don't know. I'm thinking that Mad will read it before I do, and if she says it's worth it, I will probably pick it up, but still, couldn't pass it up. $1. Okay, this next one goes crazy. This next one goes crazy. I almost bought this full price last week at Barnes & Noble. Very glad that I didn't. Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo, which is the second book in the Alex Stern series. Ninth House is the first book. I read that a couple weeks ago in my 24-hour readathon. Really enjoyed it. Got a couple comments of people saying that the second book, Hellbent, doesn't do a lot of like recapping or refreshing, so it's better to read them closer together so you still remember the details from the first book. The first book was really, really fall, and this one, considering where we ended the first book and where we are planning on venturing to in this book, really spooky, really fall. Very dark. There's literally a Stephen King blurb about Ninth House on the back. I am so excited that I found this in the sale because like I said, I was literally gonna buy it full price. I'm so excited. I'm really, really excited. I also was having like an existential crisis because, to be honest, I am more of a paperback girly than a hardcover girly. I'm sure everyone can relate when you have one book that's hardcover or one book that's paperback and then the next book comes out in hardcover and you can't decide like what format to buy them in because you have to decide to either wait or just suffer with the hardcovers. Not suffer, you know what I mean. Ninth House I have in hardcover because I found it at a little free library. I was having a whole crisis about if I should just go ahead and buy Ninth House and Hellbent in paperback because I like paperbacks better anyways. But this sort of answered that question for me because who am I to turn down a cheaper option? Also, the end pages. Yeah, very excited. I think I'll be reading this sooner rather than later based on the recommendations of other people that have read this series. So this is really exciting. Okay, I have 3 more. This is the last one that I found in the $1 sale. The next 2 are the ones that I found at the other thrift store, but this is a crazy one. This is a very crazy, exciting one. It's also it's just another crazy one because I've also been having a dilemma about this book. I will say this is definitely giving more summer, like spring summer vibes. So I was just kind of putting off the dilemma and I was gonna deal with it later. This is a sequel that I have in my hand that I read the first book a couple months ago. Really loved it. I have it in paperback. The sequel just came out in hardcover and I was like, well, I'm just gonna have to wait until they come out with the paperback version. I had just decided that I wasn't gonna be reading this anytime soon and I was just gonna have to play the long game and wait. In the $1 sale, I found an ARC copy of the Guncle Abroad. So I read the Guncle, I think in August or July, and it was so cute, so sweet. It is about a man named Patrick whose college best friend and sister-in-law passes away and he has to take temporary custody of her children while his brother goes to rehab, and it's really sweet, really charming. It's kind of like a coming of age as an adult kind of situation, and the kids are so cute and it was just really, really fun. So the fact that I found this, and I just am always so intrigued by ARCs. So like I've never been sent an ARC or anything. I'm a small fish in the booktube pond, but I always feel so like, exhilarated when I find an ARC and then have it in my possession. Just so fun. So in addition to having paperback of the Guncle, even though it is quite tall, this means I can read it in paperback form and then can decide what to do with it if I ultimately want to just put it in the little free library ecosystem and buy my own copy of the official paperback, or maybe just hang on to this. I'll have to see how I feel about it when I read it, but still just a very exciting, very thrilling find for me. So it takes place 5 years after the first book. Basically we pick up where Patrick's brother Greg announces he's getting remarried in Italy. Maisie and Grant, the children, are not thrilled, so it's up to Patrick to get them on board. But it says, when they arrive in Italy, Patrick is overextended, managing a groom with cold feet, a growing rivalry with the kid's soon-to-be lesbian aunt, and 2 young teens trying to adjust to a new normal. Saving the day really helped him repair his own life. Steven Rowley charms with this highly anticipated sequel to a beloved story about the complicated bonds of family, love, and what it takes to rediscover yourself even at the ripe age of 50. I'm really excited. Obviously, since this is like an Italian summer wedding situation, definitely feels like more of a spring summer thing, but we'll see. We'll see when it calls to me. I'm very excited. Okay, and then these 2 I found at the other thrift store. These were both regular thrift store book prices, I think $3, so less crazy, but still really exciting finds. First of all, we have The Great Alone by Kristin Hannah. I still haven't read a Kristin Hannah book, but I have been hearing incredible things nonstop, and this one just seems incredibly interesting, and I have no idea what to expect story-wise. I literally watched watched a reading vlog recently. I think it was Sarah Caroli who was reading this, and I still don't really have a grasp on what the story was, but I think it is about a 13-year-old girl whose family moves to Alaska because her father has come home from the Vietnam War a changed and volatile man, but then they go through a lot of hardships living in Alaska and living on the outskirts of society as a result of the father's fragile mental state. And so, I don't know, it seems very dark and very heavy, but I know that this is something that stays with people for a long time, and a lot of people give it 5 stars. So I now have 3 Kristin Hannah books and haven't read any, but I know personally that I'm going to love her writing style. I think it'll just be a matter of figuring out which ones resonate the most with me and which ones I like the best. So excited to have added this to the ever-growing Kristin Hannah stack on my TBR. And then lastly, I found Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This is another one that I've heard nothing but glowing, positive, amazing reviews about. Literally since I started BookTube, I'm pretty sure. Did this come out last year or 2 years ago? What's wrong? Okay. He just wanted to be included, so. This came out in 2022. I think it was like a top book that year, but it seems like something that I've never read before. I know it basically chronicles the lives of 2 friends. I think their names are Sadie and Sam, and they basically design a video game together, I'm pretty sure. And then we followed them over the course of their whole lives. From Cambridge, Massachusetts to Venice Beach, California, in between and far beyond. Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow is a dazzling and intricately imagined novel that examines the multifarious nature of identity, disability, failure, the redemptive possibilities in play, and above all, our need to connect, to be loved, and to love. Yes, it is a love story, but it is not one you have read before. I've been putting off picking this up just because I'm very intimidated by it, but I also know there's a huge possibility that this will be a 5-star read for me. So I figured I had the opportunity, might as well take it. So with that, book number 12. Not sure when I'm gonna be getting to it, but who knows? Maybe it'll be going on my 2025 list. That is all 12 books that I picked up yesterday from my 2 beloved thrift stores. I know that this is like a very unique experience. I know not everyone has this kind of like selection at their regular thrift stores. Honestly, I've said this before and I'll say it again. It's because at least where I live in Southern California, there's not like a largely popular secondhand bookstore or chain or anything like that. I know in Texas we have Half Price Books. This is where a lot of people take their books and sell them, and it's a little more of like an expensive situation. Not obviously full price, but still pricier than $1 per book. So I know this is a rare situation, but I still highly encourage you to check your thrift stores. You never know what gems you'll find. Like this is crazy. It's honestly a little bit excessive, but like I said, my thrift store had a huge surplus of books yesterday, which is why they were on sale for $1. There were so many books. This wasn't even a slight fraction of the books they had on the shelves. They were just obviously ones that were speaking to me. But yeah, I don't know. I just think shopping secondhand is so much fun. You never know what you're gonna find, and I would always encourage you to do some exploring, do some thrifting, do some sifting, and see what you can find. So anyways, that's gonna be it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. This feels like a once in a lifetime type situation, especially with the books that I found that were literally exactly what I was looking for, which never happens when you go thrifting unless the thrift gods are on your side. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!